Hey y'all, it's Brandon with Voodoo Forge, and I got a quick little project today, but it's a tool that you should have in your shop, and that's making a little handled center punch. I center punch when I'm marking stuff I'm going to put in the forge. I need to know where a mark is later, and it's not going to be visible. I can put a center punch on it and it won't burn off. Usually soapstone doesn't burn off in a gas forge, but sometimes it's harder to see than the center punch. Of course, center punch, anytime I'm drilling holes, a lot of times when I'm marking lines to cut, I can put a center punch on and it is permanent. Now, for years I used the little handheld ones, and then I made one a few years ago, very similar to this, and it's a little easier with a handle on it. You hold it, make sure you've got it where you want it, hit it, and move on. So, let's get this thing made. Here's our starting material. This is a piece of leaf spring. It's a heavy duty leaf spring. And it is 3 inches long, about 3/8 thick, and then this way it's about 5/8. That's not gonna matter with what we're doing with it. And this is a piece of 1/2 inch scrap that I found laying around. We'll use that for the handle on this bed. We're going to bring this down to a long taper. Oops, slipping in my tongues a little. This is really tough material, so we're going to work it hot the whole time and not work it when it drops down to a red like this. Yeah, it's sucking that heat out of there quick. Just real quick, last heat here, just making sure we got everything nice and even. I think let's corner it down a little bit. Look here, no! Okay. Where I forged that down, let me see if I can get this to hold still so I can focus on it. There's a cold shut right there. See that? Hit it too hard, so I'm going to grind that off and forge it a little more. So I got that ground down, and now I'll forge that tip back. Remember kids, it's okay to mess up as long as you fix it. So this time, we're not going to work the tip quite as long, because we know we'll get a cold shut. See, that's a little too cold to work it, so we're going to stop. You know what, as a matter of fact, we're going to completely leave that in right there and just do the rest with a grinder. That is going to be our safest option. I am going to work on the struck end a little bit. Not a lot going on this end. I'm just going to do the A couple little whacks there on each side, and then now I'm just going to heat the whole thing to non-magnetic and let it normalize. While that is doing that, let's work on the handle. There we go. Kind of making sure it's all straight. Get some of these bigger hammer marks out. If you want to, you can get all the hammer marks out. Some people are into that. I don't care on a tool as long as it doesn't affect strength. There's some things where I feel they need to come out. There's some where I feel like it is a waste of time. This end in now. Pretty straightforward. We're just going to put a very simple twist in here. Three-quarters of a turn on to do it. You know, I think I'll hammer that end a little bit. Not doing a lot here, just knocking some corners off. That should take care of our handle. What I've done is taken an angle grinder, put it in a vise. I got a 60 grip flat disc. I'm going to use that to shape the center punch here. This is pretty straightforward. I'm going to MIG these two together. I've done it at a little bit of an angle. That was intentional. Just gonna clean this up just a little bit. Now I'm going to harden it. The handle is mild steel, so you don't really have to worry about it during this whole hardening process. You know, it's not going to matter if it gets quenched or not. But I'm heating the hole punch to non-magnetic, and then I'm going to quench it in oil. And then I will come back and temper it and soften it down on the back a little bit. Just kind of flipping her to get a good even heat all the way around. You can see it's non-magnetic, so it's at critical temperature. Need to quench is now we need to quench is the tool, but it's going to flame up because the handle's hot. Well, I say that, but it doesn't. But it won't hurt to put the handle in there because it's mild steel, so it's not going to do anything to it. Oh man, I left my thermometer over there. Set that right there. You want to get this down. You want to knock everything in the shop over. You want to get this down to, yeah, that's good. It's under 200 degrees now. So that is good. It has cooled off, and I have cleaned it with degreaser. Now I'm just going to wire brush it real quick. So I'm torching the struck end of the tool with MAP gas. And as we go along, we should see the colors start to run as it gets hot enough. What we're doing is we hardened this whole thing. Well, now we want to soften the struck end so it doesn't shatter on us, but we want to leave the other end, the pointy end, to where it is harder. We've already got some colors running. You can see it right where the flame stops there. You can see the colors starting to run. We've got like a straw color, and then a brown, and a purple, and a blue. Going pretty quick. Let me tap this camera so it'll focus on my piece. When you start this, come on, focus. When you start this, you can stop it for a second, but you can't. You need to finish the process. You see those colors running there on it? I'm having to turn it so I can see it a little bit. That straw color is starting to get up into the bevel now. Okay. the straw's reached the bevel, the purple's coming up, so I'm gonna have to quench it right now. Now it's the same basic procedure. I just quench it in oil and cool it off to below where the temperature is gonna be changing it. Unfortunately, I can't film me doing it and quenching it at the same time, so you're just gonna have to take my word that I'm quenching it. As you're looking at this, you can see it goes from a straw and brown into a purple and then blue down here on the body. Let's go ahead and test her out real quick. The scrap looks like it needs some holes center punched on it. Alright, so what we need right there, no damage to the tip. Leaves a good center punch for marking stock that's going into the forge or drilling holes, whatever you're needing a center punch for. Boom, here's a handled center punch. Well, y'all, that's all there is to it. Now, if you use this on hot material that's straight out of the forge, it can easily take the temper out of this. But you can reharden, retemper. This is not a hard thing to temper. Struck tools that you know, start off soft and go to hard, it's a lot easier to temper that than say a knife or something like that, because you can just take a torch, stick it to the end and go from there. One thing I did not do on this one that I did on the main one, because I actually made this for somebody and it's going to be in a toolbox, is I put a loop on the handle of mine that I use all the time so I can hang it up with some of my other tools that hang under the forge so it's easy to reach. But yeah, it's a neat little tool. It's handy to have. Every workshop needs, you know, 3 or 4 of them. So, and the material, you know, there's nothing in the material. That's just a little bitty piece of truck flat spring, you know, which is, yeah, you can usually count on that being 5160, which is a good high carbon steel for this application. The handle was scrap, so there's no reason not to make one. And if you do not have access to a welder, you can take like 1/4 inch and do a wrap handle or something like that. Or you can even just use it as handheld with your fingers and hit it, or hold it in a pair of vice grips or something. So if you don't have a welder, this is still a project you can do. But anyway, I hope y'all got something out of this. There's a few more struck tools I'm going to be making coming up, so hopefully that will be beneficial to you. But yeah, y'all behave yourselves.